The number one thing I would say you need to be aware of when talking with your super fantastic teen is your tone. And hey, you may have said your attitude, and you're not too far off, are you, with the attitude, because they do play hand in hand with each other, because usually when you have a crappy attitude, then your tone is crappy too. So they do coincide with each other. But I'm going to talk about the tone today, and because it does matter on the way you say what you say. Okay, because you might not even be aware of that. You might be where it's just kind of like where you just kind of say things and you're not even realizing what your tone is. And maybe you're thinking, well, you know what? It doesn't really care. I don't really care what my tone is like, because I'm the parent and my teen just needs to suck it up and buck it up and just take it already, because that's just the way it is. But then, if that's kind of the case, in this video might not be for you, but it doesn't mean you still, don't have to watch it, because this just might give you a little bit of insight on what I'm talking about, okay? I'm Shauna Partlow, and I'm a teen relationship coach, and I help parents connect with their teen so you can talk about all issues with your teen. And today, that's what we're talking about, is the tone of you, mom, dad, okay? Because your tone, yes, sets the tone, just like I've said in other videos, okay, for the conversation. So as you're talking with your teen, you are setting the tone, okay? So what is your tone, all right? So I'm going to give you kind of some different little, here in a minute, okay? I'm not going to jump ahead of myself, all right? I'm just going to give you something here, but not quite yet. So when I'm talking about this, I'm not saying, like to baby your teen, like, oh my golly, no, all right? Because, hey, you want them to be productive citizens of society, right? Right. And they can't be when they are just babied all of the time. So when I'm saying about your tone, all right, I'm talking about when you're in conversations, and, but if it's just, where you're just kind of thinking your teen doesn't do anything wrong ever, and you're trying to protect your teen, so then you don't want the other parent telling your teen anything, because only you can be the one to be parenting your teenager. So, and then you just kind of put this little bubble around them. So you can't do that, all right? Sometimes, yes, your teen does need to be protected, and that's what parents are supposed to be doing. But in the midst of where it comes to your tone, and you want to be just kind of making sure you're not doing anything that's going to hurt their feelings, or rock the boat with them, because you want to be so you're constantly just aware of what your tone is. So I'm not talking like that, okay? I don't mean that kind of stuff. I mean, hey, you're in the trenches and you are parenting your teenager, and now you are going to you're starting to become a little more aware of what you do within your parenting, all right? So I'm going to give you 5 different tones, okay, for you to decide what you speak in, or for you even to decide what to speak in, okay? So when you're having a conversation with your teenager, all right? And so there's going to be some different tones that I'm talking about, all right? So the first one is a harsh tone. So sometimes you do have to be pretty harsh with your teenager, and just like, bam, just say it like it is, okay? They sometimes need to hear you talk that way with them. Now here's the difference, okay? If you talk like that all of the time, your teenager is going to learn to block you out and be like, and just kind of do the nodding and the head shakes and yeah, whatever. When it comes really right down to it, they don't even know what you said. And they really don't give a rip what you said, because they're so used to you talking to them so harshly all of the time. Where have you been? What did you do? Did you do the dishes yet? Where's your homework? What's going on? Where it's just a constant harsh talk. Like, that is the way you talk with them all of the time. And even though you think, well, what's wrong with that? Well, there is a lot wrong with that, because if you want to connect with your teen and you want to have the relationship with them that I know you want, you have to pay attention to the harsh tone and how much you're using that harsh tone, okay? Like I said, it doesn't mean you don't ever use it. It doesn't mean it's not needed from time to time, because, oh yeah, it is. And I definitely used it with my teens when I needed to. but not all of the time. Okay, so that's one is a harsh tone. Okay, another one is an authority tone, and that can kind of be a little bit the same as the harsh tone, you know, just because authority has to have a little bit of a in there, but it's not definitely to the degree of what the harsh tone is. Okay, but the authority tone, yeah, you need that too when you're talking with your teen at sometimes. Okay, again, not all the time, to where you are just you are always just the authority and the authoritative one, and you want to make sure that they hear you and you get your point across, because it's not that you as the parent, mom, dad, that you need to be doing all of the talking. Okay, again, when it's just you talking, your teen, and it depends on the teenager, because not every teen is going to be like this too. You know, there's different types of course, teenagers. Okay, some that will just totally block you out. Okay, just the same as with the harsh tone. That's the same as the authoritative tone. When you're just constantly in authority tone, okay, your teen can learn to just block you out, and it's not a big deal because they know that's how you're going to be all of the time. Other ones, teens become when you're just so authoritative to where they become like people pleasers, and they just want to please you all the time, so that mom or dad's not gonna talk to me like that anymore. So your tone does matter. Okay, so when you're just constantly authoritative, you know, you don't need to be that all of the time either. Doesn't mean you don't need to be at sometimes, because you definitely do. All right, because you are the parent, and in parenting, you do need to have, you know, authority. Okay, but not on every little single thing. So definitely, you know, when you hear that term, and I'm sure you've heard it often, pick your battles. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing. Okay, that kind of is where that tone goes into. So your next one is a conversation tone. So that might, you know, I don't know, might maybe surprise you a little bit. Like, what the heck? What's a conversation tone? A conversation tone is just that. You're in a conversation. It's not a big deal. You're just, you know what? You're just having a conversation. You're just kind of, you know, hey, what did you do last night? You know, how was the movie? You know, how was swimming? Did you guys have a good time? And then your teen is talking back and forth to you. Oh yeah, hey, who was there? And you know, and letting them tell you some of the stories, and you're laughing about it because something funny happened, and you know, it's funny and fun, and you're just listening to them. That's a conversation tone. You and your teen just, you know what, talking back and forth to each other. That's a conversation tone, where it's not anything to where you have to be so, you know, harsh, and you have to be authoritative in. You're just listening to what your teen is saying, what your teen has to say. You're including them in the conversation with you. That's a conversation tone. Okay, and your volume, your tone, all that stuff is dropped. I don't know if you're noticing even the way I'm sounding right now in this video, how I am a little bit just like, oh yeah, hey, you know, that's funny, that's cool, that was great, I'm glad you had a good time. You know, just the difference in the tone with a conversation tone. Another one is a compassionate tone. So that is definitely, you know, when your teen has come to you, or maybe they didn't come to you, because a lot of times, you know, your teenager does not want to come and talk with you. And sometimes, you know, that's something you definitely need to figure out why. But if they did come to you and you are talking with them, and even if they didn't, okay, you can still have a in the midst of a conversation, you still have a compassionate, all right, tone, in the sense like, wow, you know what, you know, what has happened? What happened? You know, what's going on? You know, I want you to be able to talk to me. That's the compassionate tone. So when they do talk with you, okay, you need to be in the midst of that compassion, not trying to fix it, not trying to make it better, not getting ticked off and being like, I knew you shouldn't have done that. I knew you shouldn't have hung out with those people. See, I tried to warn you. I knew that was going to happen. No, you need to just zippy the lippy and, you know, totally just shut up already. Okay. So if you are going to have a compassionate tone, that's you, mom, dad, that's you totally just listening to them. Okay. And then maybe, wow, you know, maybe they broke up in their relationship, and now, you know what, you're just going to put your arm around them, and hey, maybe they're crying. All right. You'd be surprised that, you know what, there's more guys that will actually, you know, commit suicide over a broken relationship than what a girl does. So, in my thoughts, A lot of that is because we don't always teach our teenage sons to come and talk with us. We kind of teach them to, hey, be a man and shut up and hold those feelings and keep them to yourself. We don't necessarily teach them to communicate that well. So that is my thought on that matter. So when you want that compassionate tone, that's, those are moments that, of course, you need to be compassionate with what is happening in the life of your teen. So whatever it is that they need some compassion in, okay? So that's where now you're deciphering in the midst of where the tone falls in. And another one is a fun tone, all right? Like, hey, I gotta tell you, you gotta have fun with your teenager because you're making memories. And what are the memories that you are making? What are they? All right, hey, you can put that in the chat too. And if you're getting any value out of any of this, you can put that in the chat. You can tell me, hey, yeah, you liked it, or maybe you didn't like it. You can tell me something that maybe a video you'd like me to make. And you can definitely subscribe, all right? Because there's definitely more videos to come. And there's other ones you can check out even in this teen relationship coach in my channel here. So a fun tone needs to be just that. Now, this is not the same thing as making fun of them, okay? That is totally not the same thing, all right? You need to have fun, and it might be fun for you, okay? It might be fun for you to be making fun of your teenager, but you can tell when your teen is like, oh my gosh, okay, I wish they would not even be saying that. Especially if it's like, oh, look, little Johnny has a girlfriend now. Little Sarah Sue, look at her. She's getting a new boyfriend. And where you just go on and on and on, and you're telling all these people, and they're just like so embarrassed, because that should never be your goal, is to embarrass your teen in front of people. Sometimes if they just get embarrassed, hey, sometimes that's not because of anything you did. But if you are trying to embarrass them and make them the spectacle and make them something that they do not want that kind of attention, then you need to totally back off. And hey, it's not going to hurt you to go and apologize either. But when you're having fun in your tone, hey, that's just it. Maybe even you've gotten so just caught up in life and things just being so hectic that maybe, hey, you've even forgotten how to even have fun a little bit. So start watching things that's funny, okay? Watching some different movies that are funny and watching them together. And maybe some even older movies that you thought were great and fun and funny when you were younger, and you guys watched them together, okay, with your teen. And you just gotta laugh. You gotta learn to laugh and laugh together. Because again, when I said what kind of memories are you making? Because it matters, all right? Your tone matters, the memories matter, the things that you're saying and doing, it totally matters in your parenting and with your teenager, because they want those kind of memories. They want to have that relationship with you. And you remember, hey, you are the one that's responsible to build a relationship with your teen, not your teen. Your teen is not the one responsible to be constantly just knowing like these 5 different tones that I gave you: a harsh tone, authority tone, conversation tone, compassionate tone, and a fun tone. These are things that you as mom and dad start to become aware of, like, wow, okay, how did I sound? What was I saying? And then you just say that, wow, I didn't mean for that to come across that way. So if they say, wow, that wasn't very nice, well, okay, I actually didn't mean for it to sound mean. But you don't have to be snooty, snotty, and rude yourself, okay? So pay attention to how you're sounding, all right? Because again, it matters. And again, I'm not saying just be babying them, okay? Oh, mommy's so sorry, and I'm not gonna do that anymore. But you do have to humble yourself. And sometimes in some of these tones, it's a humbling thing. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot of parents that do not want to be humble. And because they just think, well, I'm the parent, that's just the way it is. And sometimes that should be the way it is, okay? Because I said so, end of story. End of story. Because I am the parent and because I said so, okay? But you don't have to be a jerk about it every single time, because that's what I'm talking about. What is your tone every single time? Like, oh my golly. Because are you like just resistant in any conversation with your teenager because you cannot humble yourself, because you cannot see where you are in conversation So maybe think about, would you want to be talking to you? Okay. So that's kind of the same thing. And if you have been harsh all the time or a lot, and you have been like super authoritative, then that's going to take you a little bit of time to undo that. And when you are talking with your teenager, all right, because hey, becomes a little trust thing where like, all right, what's going on here? This is kind of weird. What's going on? So you can start a conversation, just be like, hey, you know what? I know I've been a little bit harsh in the past, and that's something I really want to work on. So I just want you to know that. And then do, for reals, okay? Then really do work on that. If you've just been so super authoritative, you can say the same thing. I've been so I realize that I've just been constantly like, just so authoritative all of the time. And I really want to change that because I don't like that person that I have become. But if you have become so super compassionate about every single thing, like, oh my golly, okay? Like, hey, I got to tell you, if that's who you are all the time, your teen will manipulate the crap out of you, and your teen will use that to their benefit, all right? Because if they can do that to mom or dad, oh man, and some teens are way worse than others, they will use that to their full advantage, okay? Because then they're coming in as the victim all of the time, and then mom and dad are like, oh gosh, my poor baby, and people shouldn't treat them like that, and they've just been treated so harshly and so bad and so wrong. And then your teen is, yeah, high-fiving themselves. Like, oh yeah, that worked again. Okay, so think about what the tone is. Think about if there's anything that you need to change, because even in the midst of conversation, your tone will change too, okay, depending on what the conversation is, right? So if you're just in the conversation tone, sometimes within that, you know, it might have to change a little bit, but you know, just got to pay attention to that. But in your fun tone, yeah, you know, like you definitely need to be having a fun tone, okay? And it's okay. It's okay to have different tones within your home and within the conversation of just life with your teenager. And you know what, just kind of think about that. You can put in the chat which tone maybe you have tended to be more of or even less of, okay? And as you go through this and go through other videos, you know, hey, I'd love to hear about how this is affecting you, how maybe it's changing even the relationship that you have with your teenager. Is it getting better or is it getting worse? Because, hey, that's what I'm here for, okay? Because I, again, would love to be helping in whatever the relationship is with your teen. So just remember those little, this conversation that we're just having right now, okay? Remember those tones: harsh, authority, conversation, compassionate, and fun. If you need to watch this video again, hey, please do. And if you need to share this video with someone that maybe needs to see this video, then please do, okay? So again, hit subscribe, and that's all I'm going to say about this right now. I will see you, though, in the next video.